Good evening, everyone. It's been a little while since I've been on the LaRuelist Cafe, and I'm coming on tonight. Um Not going to stay on long, but I just felt that I should come on and kind of talk about so many people on Facebook and on LinkedIn have been sending me condolences and talking about the passing of my twin. And I wanted to just come on and put a few words out there in the universe to leave on for the next, it'll be up for about 30 days if folks could come back and look at it. So, those who don't catch this live, it's okay. It will be left on for about 30 days, and then it'll be found over on laruelistcafe.com. Um, Many of you know that I came into this world, thanks, Karen, um, came into this world with a young man. He was 10 minutes older than I am, and I often joked with him and said, you actually got kicked out by me because I got tired of hanging out with you for 9 months. I kicked you out, and 10 minutes later, I appeared. Da da. So it's been an interesting relationship being a twin. I am a very loquacious person. I'm a very visible person. My twin was a quiet person. He was really a quiet guy. He was your everyday man. He decided to go into the army. He went to the army and did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, and then he went to Germany. He when he came back from the military, he was broken. He came back. He was an addict. He shot up heroin. He also drank a lot of alcohol, and it began to deteriorate his body. And the thing about him is that he's always been a fighter. And when he hit his really rock bottom and ended up in the hospital, he was determined he was going to kick that habit. 38 years, it would be 39 years in March that he has been sober, has not had one bit of drugs, not one drink. 39 years it would have been in March. So I've always been proud of Jim. Um, I have to tell you that in the last, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks, he actually lived with me because his girlfriend had had an accident where she fell and totally shattered her femur, the largest bone in the body. And my twin, at that point, his health was failing, and she was his primary caretaker. And I got pretty anxious trying to figure out where would he go, who would take him. We tried a few options, none of it would work. And my twin was an independent, proud person. And I just couldn't imagine if I said, well, why don't you come? Hi, Gwen, why don't you come and live with me? I couldn't imagine in my wildest dreams that he would say, oh, okay, I'll do that. Well, I called him. I said, hey, Jim, you can't stay by yourself. You have no one to take care of you. And I know I have a busy schedule. I mean, I have a horrible schedule. I said, but I would be delighted if you would come live with me. And he said, are you serious? And he said, well, where would I stay? I said, well, I'll turn my great room, which is now a hi, Adrena. I'll turn the great room into um, a twin studio apartment. I said, the bathroom is right off of the area, and I will give away furniture. I'll get a king bed for you. I'll have the queen bed that's already in there. We have a table because the great room is a pretty big room. It's a very big room. And I said, I'll set it up, and it'll be our 20 apartment, studio apartment. And he said, you're going to give furniture away? I gave away 2 sofas. I rearranged. I brought my desk into my studio. I took the desk that was in the studio that I loved. I gave it away. I gave everything away to be able to get ready for my twin. And thank you, Robert. I appreciate the prayers. And I really, our birthday is June 30th. I honestly thought we would turn 74 years old together. I really did. And but I took care of him. My goal was that he would never fall. I know he had a lot of pride, and he didn't feel comfortable at first that I would have to bathe him from head to toe. I'm like, man, come on. I got kids. You're my twin. We hung out in different sacks for 9 months in mom's belly. Come on. I've seen everything. Then he got comfortable with that. And, we actually became little kids again during the time that he stayed with me. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would look over there to see how he was doing. I see him like moving around, could tell he was really in pain. He had a vascular issue. We were trying to get him uh, his health together so that January 9th he could have that very sensitive and risky surgery to open the circulation in his left leg. It was very painful. And I would look over and I say, hey, Twinny Winnie, how you doing? And he would say, oh, I'm hurting a little bit, but I'll be all right, sis. He never complained. And so he wanted to go to church with me on Christmas Eve. We went to church. We had an amazing time at church. And when he came back, he let me know what he wanted me to cook for Christmas dinner. And he gave me a whole list of things. He wanted baked chicken, he wanted greens, string beans, mashed potatoes. I don't like cooking mashed potatoes. He wanted mashed potatoes, and he's really fussy about them. A salad, everything he wanted. He wanted stuffing. I got it all together. It was um, an amazing Christmas day. And Jim and I had not spent Christmas Day with each other probably for over 50 years. And to have him here in my home, it literally is one of the um, most beautiful Christmases I've ever had in my life. And when we got up the next morning, he and I were both coughing. And I said, oh no, please don't tell me that we have COVID. And I didn't care so much about my having COVID. I had all of my boosters. I'm okay. And I knew that, with his pulmonary issues and with his cardiac issues, pacemaker, the COPD, the vascular issues, I was like, he cannot get COVID. He cannot get COVID. And we rushed him to the hospital. And of course, I kept testing. I kept testing negative. And I stayed in the ER with him all that night. And they were when they did all the lab work, they said, he has some serious issues going on with his kidneys, with his liver, blah, blah, blah. And they said, before we're going to admit him, before we put him on the floor, we have to do a COVID test. So they did the COVID test, and it was positive. And I freaked out for two reasons. One is because we were in the same room, and two, that I was in the room with him in the ER all the time, and we did not have a mask. And so when I got home that night, I tested, I had COVID. So the first 5 days, and miraculously, my test turned negative after 5 days. The first 5 days, I wasn't allowed to see him, and he was in pretty much distress. Then, hey, Christian, good seeing you. Thank you. And so after, they let me go in every day for 5 minutes only, just so he could know that there was someone there who loved him. And then pretty soon he started getting better. He started getting better. He started knowing where he was, and they were weaning him off of the oxygen. And all of a sudden, I got a call on the 10th that they were going to move him to ICU, and they wanted to talk with me about next steps. I got a hold of his girlfriend and his sons and siblings, and we just kind of talked out what to do. But the doctors assured me there's nothing really serious going on here. He's just had a little setback, and we would just keep treating him. They put him on a CPAP. If you ever seen anybody on those kinds of masks, for oxygen. The oxygen is just forced through his throat, and it's not a pretty sight, but it kept him alive. And we knew he didn't want to be on the event. And so we were on. My daughter, who is a mental health professional, she said, "Mom, I want to come in and let's sit down and have a meeting with the team of physicians and whatever." And she took a plane in quickly. Her husband's a pilot, so it's easy for her to actually get trips in. And I picked her up, flew into New York, took a train into Trenton, and I picked her up, and we were on our way to the hospital 10 minutes away when my nephew called and said, you know, pull the car over. I got to tell you something. And I just kept saying, I will not pull over. I will not pull over. And finally, my daughter talked me into pulling over because I knew once I pulled over, I was going to get the news that he had passed. So thankful that the hospital allowed us to stay with his body for about 5 hours, so I could just sit there and, just see him before he would be embalmed, and let him know how much I love him, and that we were going to send him away in just grand fashion. So I want to just take a moment to read a few names. I'm not going to read all of them, but some of the folks just say thank you. First of all, I want to thank all the social media people who have been saying, sorry for your loss. And all of them, you all have just been magnificent, just unbelievable, magnificent. I want to thank, as soon as we got in the room and the word got out, that my twin had passed away. Within 10 minutes, Governor Murphy called. I want to thank him for that. First Lady Murphy actually not only texted me and called, but she showed up yesterday at the service. I want to thank her for that. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor, Tahisha Way, who texted me a beautiful, beautiful message. I want to thank the family members of our late Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, those family members who actually reached out to me. Attorney General of Blackton came to the service. Thank you so much, Matt. I just don't know how to say thank you to you. And just reading some of the other names, former Secretary of State Buster Suri, Education Commissioner Angelica Allen McMillan, the Commissioner of Corrections, Victoria Coon. Oh my God, you did great. Trish Floyd Little, Chief of Motor Vehicles. The entire, and my twin, he doesn't even live all the time. The entire New Jersey legislature did and I guess maybe my AirPod died, so I'll put the other one in. Entire legislature, Senate and Assembly did a joint resolution, and Senator Brittany did one on her own. I want to thank Senator Shirley Turner. She sent the most beautiful, beautiful letter. I got that in the mail a couple days ago. And Anthony Varelli, the Assemblyman, I'm so sorry for your loss. You sent me a beautiful text. And Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson. Also, Shavonda Sumter, Chair of Legislative Black Caucus. Angela McKnight, Chair of the Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. Assemblyman Bill Wimberly and Bill Spearman, your phone calls, amazing. Assemblywoman Luann Peter Paul, thank you so much. Mayors Reed Gussier, Doug Palmer, and Courtney Peters Manning, thank you. And then County Exec Dan Benson, your calls, your texts, your attendance yesterday. Mercer County Commissioners, thank you so much. Trenton City Council people, thank you for those who stopped in. Just appreciate you so much. New President Crystal Feliciano and Councilwoman Jennifer Williams. Somerset County Commission Director Chanel Robinson. The Garden State Equality folks, Christian Fuscarino, thanks for coming. Thank you so much. Rowan University Black Alum Network, what a resolution. And then I have to tell you, there are just other folks who have just been so amazing. I thank you all. So I'm going to close with this. You know, I know folks, you lose people all the time. We lose people. Oh, John Corzine and also Sharon Corzine. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Um, I've lost a lot of siblings. This one right here, this one right here. I don't know that I could have a deeper hurt. And you know, one of the things that he loved, you see that flag behind me over on this side, he loved the military. I had asked him several um, years ago, you know, he loved his Vietnam vet hat. And I had thank you so much, Brenda and Kenya, Robin Bridges. I know Bridges Johnson, you lost a twin too. And thank you for coming to the service yesterday. Just to get that hug from you was like, oh, loved it, loved it. Addie Lane on the school board, thank you so much. I just love you so much. And so I had asked my twin, I said, I don't ask you for much. I said, man, could you get me one of those hats that you wear all the time? I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you. That's a few years ago. And then he told me he had it. And I kept saying, if you have it, how in the world, how I need it? Never gave me my hat. So I asked my pastor's father, who's also a Vietnam vet, if he would get me some Vietnam vet hats. And he did. And they're beautiful hats, but they weren't the hats that my twin had. So I'm going to give a big shout out to my 20 Wendy's girlfriend, Joanne Walder. Her son went over to his apartment and found the hat that he bought for me at the bottom of the closet. It still had the tag on it. So I thought I would do this show today with this hat on. In closing, there are some other things that my twin actually loved. He, as I said, he loved his country. He was all into NASCAR. And he has two amazing official jackets, uh, beautiful suede. And I asked his girlfriend if I could have the jackets, and they actually fit. She said yes. So I thank you for that, Joanne. And you know, on our 70th birthday, we had a backyard event at my son and daughter-in-law's house. Thank you, Daniel, so much. Dan, I just love you and thank you. Thank you. Karen, Bellamy Lewis, thank you for that wonderful brunch you treated me to today. Because you know, tomorrow is going to be a hard day. Tomorrow I will lay him to rest. Um, but for our 70th birthday, my daughter in law, she always comes up with these cute little things for parties and all. So she wanted us to wear um, hats. So she got me my little crown. So I had to wear this crown, 70th birthday, right? And so for my twin, she had him wear this crown. And he complained, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to put this thing on my head? I don't believe that. You guys are taking it too far. Jimmy, just put the daggone hat on. And the other thing was, it was outside because our birthday was during COVID when we turned 70. So we're outside. It was a beautiful day, June 30th. I mean, it was great. He put the crown on. Oh my goodness. He just complained, hated putting that crown on his head, you know, and the crown is big. I mean, come on now. The crown is big. But he looked good in this freaking crown. I thought he looked good in it. He complained he hated the crown. And I had to go into his apartment the other day to get some things for his girlfriend so that she could settle out some stuff, some of his business. And what did I see? Sitting up in his living room where he could look at it every single day. I asked her, I said, I don't want to take a lot of stuff, but can I have the crown too? She said, yeah, you can take the crown. So I have to tell you, tomorrow is going to be quite a day for me. Tomorrow, my family will be going to Salem County Veterans Cemetery, where my father is buried, where my uncle is buried, where so many cousins are buried. We're a military family. You know, we love this country even when this country doesn't love us. It's just who we are. And we're going to go there tomorrow, a whole bunch of family members, and we're going to gather around that hole that goes 6 feet. And I have to tell you, I've lost, this is the fourth sibling I've lost, but it's the first twin. And I was okay yesterday in the viewing. I tried to keep it together. But when they told me that I had to cover him and cover his face, and when they told me that they were going to begin to crank him down, and then they said, now you've got to put your hands on the lid and you've got to close it. I felt I could not breathe. I could not breathe. And I thank my son, Sam, and my daughter, Renee, for holding me up. Because I looked at him and I just said, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this to you, but I have to. And I just want to say to all of you that hold your siblings close. You've heard me talk about this so many times. We're all just walking each other home. Hold them close. Love them. And if there are issues that you think you might have between yourselves, settle it out. It was a good thing for me when I walked into that hospital room January 11th and sat there staring at my twin brother's face. As his body continued to get colder and colder, I kept feeling his feet, then his legs, his hands, and his arms, and all around his heart stayed warm for much longer than the rest of his body. And it was a great feeling for me to look into Jim's face and know there was nothing left to say. There were no unaddressed issues. We loved each other. We spent time with each other in his last weeks on the face of this earth. So when they lower his body tomorrow morning and put that plaque of the United States government on top of him, I'm good. I'm good. And I just feel that even in my own sorrow, there's somebody out there who has to hear this message. Grab your siblings and love them. Time is short. Thank you for signing on. And tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock to 10:35, think about the Frisby family. Say a prayer for us. It's going to be tough for his two sons and his only daughter, and our siblings who will be around, and the nieces and nephews and high school friends and all of those who will be there. I love you all. Have a great night. And you know what? As I tend to always say, for LaRuelist Cafe, and I'm not at Starbucks today, but have a cup of coffee. It's on me. Thank you.